Welcome to the first of several of Teleperformance's exclusive podcasts for Women's Equality Day, which we will be celebrating not only on August 26th, but the entire month. I'm Audrey Thomas, a member of our Teleperformance USA TP Women Board, and I'll be hosting today's session alongside with Nellie Garcia, one of our employee engagement coordinators. We're very excited to speak with multiple leaders of the company about the path that they have paved to success, obstacles that they have had to overcome, who their inspiration was to make it where they are, and so much more. Today, we're going to hear from Megan McGowan, Vice President of Operations. She's going to give us insight into her journey, who she looked up to throughout her career, and some great advice for young women looking to follow in her footsteps. So to start off with this, I just want to do a quick bio on you, Megan, let everybody know a little bit more about who you are, how long you've been with Teleperformance, and then, of course, your history before Teleperformance. So where you may have started in your career and the journey of how you came not only to us here at TP, but just where you are in general in your career today.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So I've only been with Teleperformance about a year and a half now, but I can tell you I love this company. I love the people. It really is a different environment, so I'm happy to be here. As far as kind of the path that brought me here, I grew up in Costa Rica in Central America, so I'm bilingual. So of course, when we moved back, I decided to major in Spanish because that would be easy. So, but I did elementary education as well. I never actually ended up being a teacher. I moved into a bilingual trainer role at MCI in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And I was there for about 12 years, moved over to Adelphia Cable, was there for about 15 years between the time that Charter bought it, Time Warner Cable bought Adelphia and Charter bought Time Warner. So it kind of went through this multiple owners. And then I became the vice president of external operations. So I ran all of the outsourcing groups for Time Warner Cable. And that's where I met many of the leaders within Teleperformance, including Trina in the Philippines. So, you meet a lot of people along the way, and it kind of helps you to build that journey. And certainly, you never know, who you're working with in another company. It can always end up crossing paths again. So that's just a little history of how I ended up here.
Awesome. And you mentioned that you were studying education. Clearly, that's a female-dominated area. But how about now? Do you feel that women in your profession now have a difficult time being promoted?
Again, definitely teachers are the majority of people in my classes were all women, right? Majority, I have two sons, and majority of their teachers are all women. So definitely dominated industry teaching. As far as this industry, I really do believe that the initial promotion is truly based on, your work ethic, your performance, and your ability to connect with people. And I think, moving into a supervisor ranks, you're a high performer, you're going to have a high propensity to be promoted. What I can tell you is that, the farther you move up, the more masculine it becomes. And, I don't think there's any less deserving females. I just think that is the nature of the beast, and it's something, that exactly why we have these types of conversations and exactly why we talk about these things, so that we can slowly change it and improve it.
Absolutely agree with that, because we've had, TP Women's been around for a while now, and we have so many conversations about it. And I think that's a good call out, that the starting point of changing all of this is just starting that conversation. And I think Teleperformance has done that really, really well over the past couple of years. And Nellie, I'm going to call out her husband, speaking of the female-dominated teacher role. Her husband is a teacher, so we could have this exact same talk with him, like opposite on education. I'm sure.
We sure can. We sure can. It'll be difficult to get him on camera, but he's up for it.
But Megan, I know, you made a good point of talking from that initial, you come in as an agent like so many people do here, and then you move your way up the ranks, and every promotion, whether you're basing it off of male, female, you're basing it off of, work ethic, anything, the further up the ladder you go, the harder it gets. And it does get more masculine. It also gets more competitive. And, it's harder to just climb those ranks in that way. But it sounds like you have done it from, the beginning all the way, obviously, to the top now, being a vice president. So you have been in many different positions throughout your career. What would you say throughout that entire journey has been the most significant barrier that you've encountered?
That is a great question. I think looking at the whole sex part of it, I think what's probably frustrated me the most is two people can say the exact same thing and it can be interpreted completely different. Sometimes, and I probably am someone who I say what I think and I don't hold back, and I have an opinion and I share my opinion. And that's not always a positive or popular thing. And so, I go back and forth, right? Like, should I be biting my tongue and holding back what I think, or should I continue to, make sure if I think it's a bad idea and we shouldn't do it, I'm going to share that, right? So, I kind of go back and forth there. Like, should I just be quiet or should I actually speak up? And I think sometimes if a woman comes up with a big and a bold idea, it's perceived as, oh, she's going rogue, or, you can't control her. Whereas if a man comes up with a bold, brilliant idea, it's, he's a trailblazer and he's really, just knocking down walls and making big changes. I think part of that is kind of learning who your audience is and learning, when can you do this and in what environment can I share this? And it is unfortunate that, you kind of have to be more strategic with your communication. But I think having that strategy behind decision making and communication is key. So I think that can help significantly.
For sure. And I'm sure throughout your career, you've had somebody you can vent to and you can reach out to for advice and guidance. Can you tell us a little bit who's a person who inspired you most in your career and why?
Yeah, I definitely would not say I have one single person. I think I have a variety of people, and not just people I've reported into, but more, my peers, my subordinates, and my leaders. There's a certain type of people you work with that you can get more out of, I think. And, in the same spirit that I have to share my opinion, and I feel like, I want to be able to bounce ideas off. I think that's the type of person that I'm attracted to when it comes to, hey, can I learn from you, right? Whether it's an advisor on the phone, I'll go to them if I think they're going to have the best source of information. But, kind of the other side of that, I guess, is, if someone, especially someone who's my peer or someone who works for me, if the constant answer is, yeah, okay, we can do that, no problem, and there's never any pushback, I don't like that, right? Like, I want to know your opinion because I value it, and we can make better choices and land in a better spot if everybody truly, shares what they think. And if I'm saying, let's go do this thing, and they all think it's stupid, then tell me that, because I want to know, hey, if you think it's a bad choice, then let's change it. How do you think we could do it better? So to me, it's more of the people who I know are going to be honest and tell me if something's going to work or if it's not going to work, or at least have the ability to talk through it, right? So let's exchange the ideas until we can either agree it's a good idea or a bad idea, or maybe we just need to tweak it. But to me, that's what collaboration is about. And, that's how you improve anything.
I don't know that I could love like your answer to that question any more than I do, because, and Nellie's going to know exactly what I'm talking about. When Teleperformance for me, like when I started here, it was a very short-term thing. I was burnt out on sales. I'd been doing it for years, started as an admin, and then I, found I was going to go back to sales, and I was getting ready to head out the door, and had a leader come to me, and she questioned it. I used to be a yes person very much, and she made me question that. Well, why would you say yes to this? Like, why do you want to do this? And I've finally learned, not only can I speak up and give my opinion on things, but if I'm not passionate about it and I don't believe in it, I mean, I will do it, but I'm not going to do it well, or
Right.
not as well as I would have.
Yeah, I totally agree. If you talk through something, you're going to gain buy-in too, right? So if I value your opinion and we go back and forth and maybe we tweak the plan because of your input, then you're more bought in and you're going to, go and sell it to your team and they're going to sell it to their team. So I agree. I think it's essential.
Absolutely. And even on like when we were coming up with, what to do for this Women's Equality Day, Nellie came, to the table with the ideas and we talked through it, and it turned into, I mean, in my opinion, Nellie, you might or might not agree, something just a lot bigger than what the original plan was going to be. And me and Nellie have worked together for a long time now, 2 or 3 years. And it's always been that, the back and forth, we've worked through a lot of stuff like that. So 100% agree on that. And I think, honestly, the last question that we have for you, you've given a lot of answers that would fit it really well already. But I know that just from working with you in the past, you have probably this just huge conundrum of advice to give, because you always have. But you've already, like I said, you've already answered a lot of it with, speaking up. Do you bite your tongue? Do you continue to make your voice known, which is important? But if you were talking to a group of young women that are entering a male-dominated profession like the one that you're in, like you said, the higher you get, the more masculine it becomes. What is some of the most important advice that you would share with them to help them be successful if they wanted to move to the position, that you are today?
Right. Great question. I think everyone, when they're a new leader and they're starting out, you assume your employees are going to be just like you. And usually people who are promoted into leadership roles had really good work ethic, and they worked really hard, and they cared, and they had good attendance. And, I think it's funny when you see new supervisors start and they're just shocked that I don't understand why they're not coming to work. I don't understand why they're calling out sick, and I don't know why they can't perform. And you have to kind of realize everyone is not you. So you have to know your audience. You have to be able to motivate them, and it could be something that you would never be motivated by. But that's where the connection to people comes in, right? So I think as a new leader, and especially as a female, they have to understand their people. And sometimes coming in, starting new, you want to just, change the world and be successful and do everything you've done in the past. But you should probably just sit there for a minute. You should talk to everyone. You should learn who they are, what drives them, what motivates them, especially in this company, in this type of work. If we don't have people, we don't have anything, right? We have nothing. They are our number one main resource. And, the only other thing I think would really help is, interchange your shoes. Like if you're talking to your employee, put yourself in their shoes. If you're talking to your boss, put yourself in their shoes. And then at the same time, go back to your own shoes and say, now, how do I want to be treated? And is there any scenario here where I'm also not being treated fairly, or, someone's not listening to me? And, stand up and explain it. The only other thing I would say for a new leader, sorry, I keep adding on here, is immediate feedback, right? I think especially new leaders, and I think really there's senior leaders who do this, is if they have hard feedback to give someone, some constructive criticism, something that has to be shared, they tend to push it off because maybe it's an uncomfortable conversation. The sooner you have that conversation, the sooner things will change, and the more that person will respect you, because you're giving them that feedback to help them, right? You're not giving them that feedback for any other reason. In a work environment, you're just going to give that feedback in order to change and improve behaviors. So I think that's really, really key. And if people can start off doing that and delivering feedback in the right way, then they'll be really successful.
I feel like for the first few minutes of that answer, you did your homework and were talking directly to me, because I jumped in head first at everything. Like, I will come in and just dive head first, and then I always have to make myself take that step back, and I'm like, oh, I gotta learn exactly what's going on here.
Yeah, we definitely need to read the audience first.
Yeah.
Yes. And I love the immediate feedback. That is, obviously who my leader is. April is fantastic at that. Like, that is probably one of the things that I have loved most about her from the very beginning. If she has an issue, she's not going to let it build until it gets bad, or, something like that. She's going to come directly to me, and it's going to be a very quick conversation. And how do we fix this?
Yeah.
And I love that.
And
I wish every leader had that.
Yeah. I think to that point, because I think a lot of leaders don't give the constructive feedback as they should. As a new leader or a tenured leader, don't hesitate to ask. I think it's a good best practice every single one-on-one. If you don't get anything constructive, ask, hey, so what if I could change something about what I'm doing? How could I be better? Because if they're not offering you that, then you should be asking for it and take it, so that you can, make your own improvement.
Absolutely. So one thing that I have learned that is a fun way to end some podcasts is to do some of the little superlatives. So since you mentioned that your original career path was education, one that we have done on a couple of podcasts in the past is what you either were most nominated to be in high school, or what you thought that you were going to be way back in the day, and see if it aligns at all with what you're doing right now. So did you how long was it that you thought you were going to be a teacher before you decided to change that career path?
That is a great question. My sisters and my mom would always tell this story about how when I was young, very young, I wanted to be either a trash man or a daddy when I grew up. Apparently I liked trash man and I liked my dad. But no, I think, I definitely changed my mind many, many times. And at first it was medical. I wanted to be a doctor or a nurse, and then I went in and ended up studying teaching. Definitely never thought I would, be in a call center type situation. But in college is when I started working at MCI, and I enjoyed it. It was fun. I actually made more money than I would have as a teacher. But I also think a lot of the things that you learn, especially as a teacher in those roles, you can use that in your day-to-day work here, right? Whether it's talking to people or kind of communicating a message, or training, right? Because half of what we do is truly training. So I think it all kind of comes back and ends up helping you in the long run. So yeah. I don't know if there's anything since then that I've wanted to change. I flip houses also, which is really fun, and I love
That's
doing
cool.
that. Just because you go from something that's a disgusting disaster to, something you love and it's cute.
I'm still torn apart from coming back from vacation. So if you want to work on something that is a disaster, you can come and start here.
I have 2 toddlers. You're more than welcome to to head on over.
Yeah, that'll take some time.
So Nellie, you do not get to escape this question either. You also get to answer this one, because you've been here how long now? It's a long time.
Total of about 9 years. Total of 9 years.
Yeah, I thought you were right at almost on the decade mark. So is this something that you, when you were younger, that you thought you would be? And I don't know that this kind of work is one that anybody says, this is what I'm going to grow up and be.
Right. No, not at all. Honestly, being a kid in elementary school, you always think, oh, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a nurse. And then through high school, I was really good at math. So I'm like, oh, I'll be an accountant. And I went for my business degree and stuff. And once I did that, I'm like, I like accounting, but it doesn't seem fun, you know. But working here, I've held several support staff roles with HR, recruiting, and then now employee engagement. And I think this is this is a good position for me. Not only do I get to make a difference with our employees, within the company, but also making a difference with our COTW efforts, in our community. So this is something that I really enjoy. I really do, and I don't think as an accountant I'll be able to make this. But I definitely enjoy it. I love what I do, and making these relationships and these type of events. I definitely enjoy being part of.
How about you, Audrey?
Oh gosh.
Mhm.
So when I was really little, okay, I'm lying, all the way up until like middle school probably. I was convinced that I was going to be in the WNBA because I love basketball and that's what I wanted to do. And then I stopped growing in seventh grade and I landed at 5'4". So I
No.
decided, I'll play through high school, college, but not in the WNBA, I guess. But then the more I took a lot of criminal justice classes in high school, and I got really into. I loved science, so I got really into like the forensics piece of it and the behavioral pieces, and of course that was like when Criminal Minds became popular. So I started off going to college to do forensics and like behavioral analysis, psychology, things like that. And that's still, I mean, I love anything psychology related still. I That's what, if I'm in my spare time and I read or anything like that, it's based around those things. But then, I worked in a restaurant as I went through college and bartended, waited tables, things like that. And then I got pregnant with my daughter when I was 24 and decided it was time to get like a big girl job. So I started in a call center for corporate Sprint way back in the day. And when we closed down, I ran the store that was local uh, and was just always into sales. But then when I came here to take a break, finally landed, an employee engagement. And now I manage our communications and marketing team. And I just kind of fell in love with it. Like, I love the people that I work with. I love what we do. Like Nellie said, we make, whether it's COTW or employee engagement, or just keeping our people in the know with communications, it's just very impactful to the organization. And there's a huge sense of pride for the stuff that we do. And I love it. I don't know that I would ever want to do anything else other than, even if it's changed roles here again. But definitely, I think I found my home.
That's awesome.
All right. So, Megan, we don't have any more questions for you, but we do definitely want to thank you for coming on and being a part of the podcast. You're going to be the premiere, so we're going to judge it how it goes
Yep.
by you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate it. It was fun talking to you too.
Absolutely. So that's going to wrap up the very first Women's Equality Day podcast. For everybody listening, we hope you enjoyed it. We hope you learned a lot more about Megan and her journey, and that you continue to join in every week throughout the month of August and hear about another one of our leaders.
Thank you.
Thank you.